Okay, so I'd like to take a second and just quickly introduce a new type of poetry, one of my favorite types of poetry, which is called found poetry. To be honest with you, it's really simple because what you do with found poetry is actually in the name of the type of poetry. So let's get right to it. Let's talk about what it is, and we'll give you a couple of examples, and most importantly, talk about your blackout poem, which is actually a form of found poetry that's due next week. So found poetry, right? Really fun. Here's what it is. Found poetry is basically where we use other sources, like a book or a magazine or a recipe, to create something new. So we use words that are already written. We use them to write a new, powerful, beautiful poem, right? So we think about this, right? Here's the definition. Found poetry is a type of poetry created by taking words, phrases, and sometimes whole passages from other sources and then reframing them. Reframing them means like reworking them into something of our own. So as poetry, we reframe these words, phrases, and passages by making changes, getting rid of words, not using a line here or there, or even taking the words and adding some of our own words to them. And what's left when we're done is something that we create, but we've used other people's words to do so. Okay, so we can use, for sources, we can really use anything, right? So here's some common sources. You take a book and you use words and lines and phrases from a book, or you use an instruction manual, how to put a bike together, or cookbooks, maybe grandma's cookbook. Cookbooks are actually a really good one. You can pull out words and phrases from a cookbook. Horoscopes, children's books are great sources for writing found poetry. You could even use a textbook. You could use newspapers, magazines, maybe a note or a letter that somebody wrote you. As you can see, the possibilities are endless. So my second year at Notre Dame, we were doing this assignment, and I told the girls, you're to write found poetry. I want to see or I want to hear one of your found poems next class. And one of the girls brought in a found poem. It was about 4 or 5 lines, and it was really, really well done. And when we asked her, I said, what source did you use? She said, Mr. Smith, I used the billboard that's at the corner of Monroe and Sylvania right there when you pull in to the school. So she actually wrote a found poem, her own original poem, by using the words and phrases on a billboard, which I thought was fantastic. So again, we're taking the words and we're taking phrases from different sources. It can be anything, and we're using them to write our own poetry. Okay, so here's a technique. This is kind of a way that you do it. First of all, is you can think of a topic. You can find a source, or you can find a source, and then as you're looking at the source, you can think of a topic. And then what's cool is you can then do things like write down or highlight important words or phrases, things that kind of jump off the page at you that might be poetic. And then what you do is you take those words and you arrange them into a logical sense. It says here to feel free to make changes, but to be honest with you, found poetry in its truest form, we don't add anything to the words or phrases. We just use the original words or phrases to write our own poetry. So true found poetry, we don't add anything to it. We just use the words and phrases and we rearrange them to create our own piece. You can, again, if you do, even though it's not considered to be true found poetry, you can add words, or you can maybe add like a letter here or there to make it grammatically correct. You can play around with line breaks. So for example, where the line stops in your poem might be different than where it stops in the book. You can space words out to create rhythm, as you can see. You can put key words in lines by themselves. So the cool thing about found poetry is you can take the words and phrases and you can really play around with what it looks like on the page. You can really play around with its form and its structure. Okay, so there's actually 3 types of found poetry. One is called traditional found poetry. This is the one where you take a book, let's say you take To Kill a Mockingbird, and you pull out words and phrases from Atticus's speech to write your own poem with. Okay, that's the one that's most often used, and it's really interesting to try and do it. You take Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech. and you use certain words and phrases in it, you rearrange them, and you're left with a poem that's yours, that you've created. Again, traditional found poetry doesn't add anything, but less traditional, you could add words and phrases to it. There's also what's called blackout. So I'm going to show you a blackout poem here in just a second and show you how that works. And then there's also called cutout poetry, which we'll quickly talk about as well in this video. These are potentially then poems that you can write, that you can include in your poetry anthology, which is really cool. All right, so let's talk about, again, traditional found poetry and review it real quick. We take a source and pull out keywords and phrases. We rework the keywords and phrases into our own original poem. And the key here is to arrange those words and phrases into something that's considered to be poetic. And we want to try and add as few words of our own as possible. We just want to use the words or phrases from the source. Maybe it's Grandma's Cookbook that we're trying to use. Okay, so found poetry, To Kill a Mockingbird, right? You would select an excerpt from the novel. Maybe it's a paragraph in length, and we would pull out words and phrases there to create our own original poem. This is one from the novel, right? It's called The Fire, and this is from actually the part where Miss Maudie's house catches on fire. And this student was left with a poem, as you can see there. It reads, "I could feel the tin roof quell the flames. The house collapsed, beating out sparks and burning. It was dawn the next day. I slid across the icy street. Then I looked down and found myself clutching for an answer. I stood at the fire. I grinned slowly." So she's taken out whole parts of that scene from the book and used it to create her own poem, which again is pretty cool and sounds very poetic. Here's another one, right? This is from the scene where Scout meets Boo Radley for the first time, and you can see here's the original, right? The original passage, and then this is what was left behind, right? The one here says, leaning against the wall, arms down across chest, white hands, sickly white hands that had never seen the sun so white, stood out against dull cream in the light. Face white as hands, shadow on his jutting chin, thin to hollowness. His mouth shallow, delicate, gray eyes so colorless I thought he was blind. The tension slowly drained from his face, lips parted into a timid smile, our neighbor's image blurred with sudden tears. So you can see that this author here really played around with the form and the structure, line breaks, pulled out certain things from that scene, and this is what's left behind. Actually, the author of this one is yours truly. So this is one that I wrote a few years ago with my class when we were doing this as an assignment. So this is one I wrote using the part of the book where Scout meets Boo Radley for the first time. Okay, the other type is called blackout. Blackout is really cool. I love this one. It's a lot of fun to do, and it's really easy. So blackout is basically where we take a source, let's say it's a page from a book, and we cross out everything that we don't want to use, and what's left behind then also becomes poetry. So if you look at the page here, you'll see that they have taken a page from whatever it might be, and they've blacked out everything in purple that they don't want to use, and then what's left behind you can see is in the white. I can't read what's at the top, but you can read there the lines say, "I found fever. There was not a cloud I understood. It was the old matter." So again, what's left behind is something that sounds poetic. It's really cool, and it's really unique. Here's some other samples of blackouts. All right, this is actually also one from To Kill a Mockingbird. Right, and this is again the scene where Maudie's house burns down. You can see they've used the red to black out what they don't want to use, and then what's left behind is in the yellow and the red. So this is another example of how to do a blackout. Okay. Now, to be honest with you though, this is what really has become known as the blackout form. Right. So the blackout poetry now is not only leaving behind a poem by blacking out words, it's also creating some kind of an image, right? So you can see here that this is now what's considered to be the blackout poetry, is that not only is a poem left behind, but also we have some kind of an image that's related to the poem. So this is what we're looking for from your blackout poem that's due next week. Okay, so again, you can see that they've crossed out what they're not going to use, and what's left behind is not only a poem, but also an image. So I'm going to scroll through and just show you some really cool examples of what now is considered to be blackout poetry. And again, blackout poetry is found poetry. Here's another one. I mean, this stuff is pretty ridiculous when you look at it. So artistic, so creative, so clever. I mean, just some really, really awesome stuff. Here's another one. Right, they actually blacked out by cutting, which I thought was really unique. And again, this is a great art form here. Here's one, and you can see behind it, right, the picture of the flower that's left behind. And again, you can see this is also To Kill a Mockingbird. So To Kill a Mockingbird obviously is a great source for this. Here's another one. How cool is that? And the poem left behind is leaving town like a kid on a bicycle, a small parade on bikes with high handlebars, pedal with no hands. Where you, moving, headed for my mirrored mountain, the west and the sun. Why's you gonna go? It was the road we had to take. Branches under octopus-like. Any more questions? And again, you can see they've added color. They've also added some lines and things to obviously help create the picture. Here's another one. Right? Again, really well done. This is a great one here. So simple, but again, they're sketching in a picture and leaving behind out of language, so completely different from tentative communication to travel through. Right? We can see the poem left behind. Here's another one, really cool. And then this one's really neat. Again, they've crossed out everything they're not going to use. They've added some pictures, and it says here, in the night, the children talked of home in their mangy pack. Here's another one. Hard to read the poem there, but you can see how it's done. Here's one. Here's another one, really cool. Time for society to struggle through the dark. Here's one. This is really clever because all of the eyes have been circled to represent the raindrops, and what's left is a one-line poem. I like the story as well as when you told it. So the cool thing about found poetry and blackout poetry is that the length of lines doesn't matter. So your found poetry, your blackout poem, does not need to be 10 lines. It can be any length. This is the exception to the rule. So your blackout poem would count as one in your poetry anthology, no matter how many lines it is. Here's another one. This is from Tuesdays with Morrie, another great book. I'd suggest you read that, use that bit possibly. Here's one. And again, you can see if you look carefully how some of the words are circled there along with the wind and the water. This is really cool from Stephen Crane, Red Badge of Courage, a little Captain America, all you Marvel fans out there. This is also another one. Again, the pattern used is ridiculous. So creative, so clever. This is probably one of my favorites. Again, we have the Grim Reaper. This is actually, I believe, an article from a newspaper. This is brilliant. It's from Frankenstein, right? And again, you can see here the artistic ability that's just through the roof here. Right, here's another one. This is so cool here. And the poem literally reads, it's about time we got out. That's the poem, right? Basically 2 lines. Okay, so again, the cutout sample, another way to do this is you can cut out words and phrases from magazines. You can put them together. Again, I jokingly say this looks like a ransom note that you would leave behind if you kidnap somebody, but at the same time, you can use this, right, method as well. And the cutout sample is just where we literally cut out words and phrases and we put them together into something new, maybe onto a piece of computer paper, and what's left behind is our own creation. Okay, and again, you can use sources of anything, Grandma's Cookbook, a magazine, etc., to really look at this. All right, here's some more. Okay, so your task, right, is to create a blackout poem by next Wednesday. Right? Be creative, be unique, be clever. Again, you're using any source of your choice, pulling out the words and the phrases, blacking out what we don't need, and then also leaving behind our original poem. Also, I want you to check out the examples that I've dropped for you on Google Classroom of students at Notre Dame Academy who have done this assignment in the past and how they did it. And you can see, obviously, by the examples that they did really well in the assignment, and they chose to include them in their anthology, which counted as one poem. So hopefully this this helped, looking over the video, use the examples. You artistic people will love this one. Even if you're not artistic, it's still a great form to use, and you can create a lot of really cool stuff. So best of luck, and we'll see yours on Wednesday of next week. Awesome. Thanks.